Yeah, that's cool.
That's the gist of it.
That's well done. They've always been pretty clever with their references.
Hell yeah. What do you think of like updating lyrics like that? Like covering a song and then like updating the lyrics, because it's like almost a completely different song in a way.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to make it relevant to what's currently sort of in people's I guess you call it zeitgeist, right?
Yeah.
At large.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. Like, I feel like if it would have been released a month later, there would have been a line about Ocean Gate.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. Like, they timed it fucking perfectly. That was fantastic. We heard that shit. Said, well played, well played. Yeah, that shit was fucking fantastic. Yeah, you wore that shirt. I was like, dude, have you heard that shit?
No,
I wasn't totally familiar with the original. I didn't even know like what the lyrics were. You know what I mean? Like in the original, and I started hearing this one. And then he started talking about SpongeBob and YouTube killed MTV, and I'm like, I don't think those are the original lyrics.
Right.
So that was pretty.
It's
funny.
too near here.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Okay. Well, if you want to get into it? We'll talk about Troy, where you came from, when you got into music. So let's just start up. Like your. Well, I want to ask like what's the music that was like growing up in your household, like that was mainly on? Like, what do your parents listen to?
Yeah, so my parents are they're about 20 years older than me, so they're fairly young.
Mm-hmm.
So they for the longest time, I would say what we were listening to was what was like kind of pushed, but like for better or worse. So there was, growing up in the 2000s, I feel quite lucky that there was a lot of cool stuff, a lot of good stuff. I thought a lot of fun stuff,
Yeah.
So I actually found myself like enjoying more styles growing up than I do now.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would hear what was on the radio and what was on. For me, I liked watching MTV and Fuse. And
I'm surprised that hasn't come up yet in any of these interviews. Fuse went so hard.
Fuse was important, That's how I saw a lot of cool bands, and then definitely video games soundtracks were huge, and movie soundtracks too.
So when you say like video game movies, are you talking about like a score, or are you talking about songs that are featured?
Songs that are featured,
yeah.
Like for me that would have been like Need for Speed and Midnight Club. I was way into car games.
Yeah.
So those had some really dope soundtracks, and then of course Guitar Hero and Rock Band kind of took over. That's actually a huge part of why I am a musician. Was just like dumping hours into Guitar Hero.
Really? So did you play Guitar Hero before you started learning to play the real guitar?
That's right. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I was so bitter when that shit came out. I think like 2005. Maybe late 2004 or something like that. I got my guitar for my 14th birthday.
Okay.
So when Guitar Hero came out, everybody's like, "You played this?" And I was like, just like getting good at chords and stuff like that. And everybody's like, "You play Guitar Hero?" I was like, "Fuck that shit. That's not real guitar. I'm not playing that dumb, stupid plastic controller, dumb game." That's how I felt. Like that was just like my reaction to it. But
yeah, if you're like it's like a dancer with DDR.
Yeah.
It's like it's an arcade version of what they are learning, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like you're learning moves. Well, you're not learning moves. You're learning rhythm and timing, but you're not necessarily like learning the craft. You know what I mean? Same thing with Guitar Hero. Like that's a perfect fucking analogy with DDR, and I fucking always loved DDR.
Right.
It's like imagine a dancer version of myself being like, "You play that stupid game,"
Right? Yeah, like that was. That one was definitely just like it's like a video game, like get your friends to play, and I feel like the drumming on Rock Band actually was like accurate enough that I did feel like I was like learning like the fundamentals of being a drummer from playing Rock Band.
Did you do the trainer, like the drum trainer?
Honestly, just like playing songs on Expert,
Okay.
Like just getting to that point.
Hell yeah!
But then I'll never forget like. I was playing a Avenged Sevenfold, and like I just like failed the song. I got so fucking pissed that I just like punched the snare drum, and I broke it because I was like so certain that like it couldn't be that I'm not that I'm not playing, that I'm not fucking nailing this Avenged Sevenfold song. It's definitely the drum set.
It's the drum kit.
The drum set is at
it's
fault
the latency. You remember you always had to, like, there's always those that latency. What's it called? They call it something in the menu. Like you press start, calibrated.
Yeah. It couldn't be that there was any user error. It was that the drums needed
100% every time. I can attest, man.
Yeah.
There's never ever been a user error. Like when it comes to me, like personally, I don't know. Other people fucked up all the time and they messed up my entire score. No, no, but that's awesome, dude. I did get one over when Rock Band came out. I didn't get the first Rock Band, but Rock Band 2 had that big bundle, came with drums and guitar and the mic. And like I remember, I had just got my job, so I like had disposable money and lived with my mom, so I had disposable money. And we just went and got that whole big ass bundle.
Yeah.
And I tore that. Okay, I haven't told this either. I tell this story all the time, but I haven't told it on here yet, which is funny. I used to play Chop Suey from System of a Down, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like on expert when I got good at it, right? And I played that song so much and got so good at that specific song that at like a couple parties we would bring rock band, right? Everybody, like, we're the rock band dudes. Like, we brought the whole thing. Everybody's like, yeah, party fucking going. And I fucking took the drum kit. I turned it around to where I wasn't even facing the TV, and I was facing everybody else in the party, and I drummed Chop Suey on expert,
dude, that's what I'm talking about,
all the way through without failing. Like, I probably missed a couple notes, and probably got all the way down, but you know what I mean? It wasn't, like, flawless, but, like, I knew it well enough to know, like, when I'm getting here, do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I love that song, like, drumming it specifically.
Yeah, I think that, that's fucking badass, right? Turning back to the screen, dude. That's such a flex, dude.
That was like what, 2009? Like,
right.
I had just like maybe 2010, something like that. We just started our band, and like we were in the middle of just like trying to figure out what we wanted to do, and just rock band, and always had friends over parties and all the kind of fucking things. So yeah, that was just that era, and I was like, I consider it like a party trick, but yeah, it's definitely a flex.
For sure.
I was like, let's go. But yeah, dude, so that, and I heard that Post Malone got interested in actually playing guitar from Guitar Hero Rock Band or whatever.
Yeah, he's actually, he's only really like sort of well-known musician, or no, there's two guys I know. There's Post Malone for Guitar Hero, and then there's a drummer who I've met named Kyle Brownlee, who was, I believe he's like top leaderboards for Rock Band 2.
Oh, really?
On Rock Band drums.
Holy shit.
And like, yeah.
And he became a legend
now
drummer.
Now they're professional musicians. I'm sure there's plenty more, but yeah, those are like the only two guys I've heard really talk about it, and I completely relate, because that's totally the origins of, I think definitely for my mom and my dad too. They just like saw, like, 'cause I used to quit everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would try a lot of stuff, but I would quit like everything.
Sports and stuff,
exactly.
Organized sports.
Yeah, just like sports, gardening. I was into like extreme sports, like skateboarding, BMX, and like riding dirt bikes. But like when it came to like stuff that could be more practicable at like home or whatever, there's nothing really caught my interest until like I definitely loved playing car games like on PlayStation, but then with Guitar Hero I just was investing a lot of time into that, so then I was gifted real guitar, 6-string.
So your parents saw that you were like obsessed with this game, and then they're like, we're gonna get you a real guitar.
Right.
So were you stoked about it, or were like, oh, okay.
No, of course, yeah. I was like, because I hadn't explicitly asked for one, but, well, I think, like, I know I would ask for, like, drums and stuff. Like, I definitely remember asking for drums, and, like, I'm positive I would ask for guitar or bass or, just instruments or whatever. But just for, like, this Christmas, this was back in, like, 2007, I was 10 years old. It wasn't like, I was asking them or Santa, like explicitly for a guitar. It was more of a surprise, but it was just like such a fitting, type of gift that it was like, it's kind of like, oh, duh, this is what I want.
Of course.
Yeah, it was like, of course this.
So what kind was it? You still have, do you still have it?
No, I don't have that one because it was like a first act brand guitar, which was good enough to get going.
Yeah.
But I remember smashing that guitar actually, like not or
At
just
a
for
show,
fun.
or?
No,
Oh.
just for fun. One like I traded up for like I got I think at the point like I had a Squire Stratocaster.
Okay, yeah.
And like
So
when I was young,
step up. That's what I'm still rocking.
when I was young, I used to be very sort of like brand loyal. I want to say, like because like Fender was
Jimi
popularized.
Hendrix's.
Yeah, Jimi Hendrix, Kurt Cobain.
Shout out Jimmy.
So like once I got once I had like a real quote Stratocaster, then like the other guitars were just kind of they really seemed or I was just like I felt like I made it basically, like it's I got the Stratocaster, like I can just move on from there.
You're the guitar player now,
right? So long story short, I didn't keep a hold of that one, but yeah.
Well, you smashed it for fun shortly after you got your Strat.
How it really worked out was like I got another guitar in between. It was like a Strat copy, and then once I was moving out of the house at the time, I was just like getting rid of some stuff. So I sold the Strat copy and I smashed this this first guitar. And by that point, I all I wanted as a kid was guitars. So I have a collection, and I started that collection when I was young. So by this point, I already had probably like 5 or so.
Oh,
so
okay.
Like I should have kept that first one though, just like as like just for the sentimental value.
A memento.
Yeah.
I still have tied up to my Kurt Cobain poster in my bathroom in our room. The first string I ever broke at a show.
Oh yeah.
It's so dusty and fucking rusty and shit. But it's the first, like, I remember being like at the show, like just when you beat the shit out of the strings, just going like for any reason. I've done that just in my room alone, but I've also at shows. It's like high energy, especially those songs. I was going and the fucking string popped. I was like, oh, this is badass. Like, it did not ruin the show at all. I'm like, you just guys don't get those notes anymore.
Like, those notes are turned off.
Yeah.
No machine broke.
Come back later. Try again next show. Yeah, dude. Dude. Like, you didn't keep any of it? Like, no, not two.
No, I didn't for that. But I was just like so into like just like rock and roll shit, So like seeing Kurt Cobain and like Pete Townsend and Hendrix and just like the Destruction shit.
Yeah.
It
this
was just
time
like,
you're in Seattle, right?
At the time, I was actually living in Bremerton, Washington.
Okay.
Which is the Washington State Ferry connects Seattle to Bremerton.
Okay.
So that's like
so it's on one of the island things. What are those called? A whole bunch of them.
I'm not exactly sure. I think like a lot of the stuff is called like peninsulas. I want to say, kind of like how Florida is.
Yeah.
But it's that whole area is the Puget Sound. So it's just like there's the whole inlet of water that you can see like when you imagine Washington. Basically, like I lived like all around that. So like I was always like kind of facing the ocean or like near it, but I lived in like different parts through like it sounds like I'm rhyming when I say like I lived up and down the Puget Sound.
That's bars, man. Right? Yeah, that's a new song right there. Sample it. Any producers in the chat, sample that shit.
Right.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that's rad. Did you used to take the bus like a lot? I remember like I stayed in Seattle for like 2 months, and we stayed in Tukwila.
Okay.
So like a suburb. And yeah, we took the bus like almost every day to downtown Seattle and just chilled in the city. Yeah,
when I lived in the city of Seattle, I lived in the neighboring part above it called Shoreline as well, and I would ride the bus like 2 times a day, and it would be like I want to say an hour and a half commute each day, like just going within the city on the bus. Like it's just so much traffic.
Yeah,
but I was really grateful for it because it saved me a lot of money on vehicle expense. But I guess that was part of my struggle when I moved here, was not having a vehicle.
Oh yeah,
And
everything's
here,
far.
it's so sprawled out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I very much got used to the public transportation up
Mm-hmm.
there for sure.
That's rad. So like, so how did that play into your like music making? Like, were you like if you're moving up and down the sound, like were you
Yeah.
in different bands? Like when did
Yeah.
yeah, how did the music go with you moving so much?
Um, well, in the beginning, I guess I was able to keep ties with people through Facebook and like just phone numbers, and so during spring breaks and like winter or summer breaks, school breaks, right? Me and some friends we would travel to each other, usually through our parents helping us, or like once we were 16, we got to drive. So we would just hang out and just be really creative and honestly do like a lot of fantasizing, a lot of
Yeah.
projecting of like, what could happen if we made a badass record and got to play shows and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then in my high school years, I actually did form a band in Oak Harbor, Washington, which is on Whidbey Island.
And this is like your first legit band where you actually got together.
Yeah, this is like rehearsals, showing up in a garage with a drummer. Everybody's like, you better have learned the songs at one time, like it, so we can really lock in type stuff. And that band was called Cornerstone Northwest. We kind of had to like change because Cornerstone's not an original name. Or like there's plenty of other people who've tried to use that name, and so we kind of eventually got known as like an acronym of CSNW.
Okay.
And then in our like final year of a band, we changed it to Past Self. And so I have
That's
music.
fitting.
Yeah. So I have music distributed, labeled under both of those names, but it's essentially the same band.
Okay, and those are like available to stream everywhere?
I have those on my SoundCloud. I need to like level match them and put them. Well, I do have Past Self record that can be found on Spotify, but the older Cornerstone stuff and a lot of my other music, I really need to get them onto like most of the streaming platforms and just get them leveled up. They're like leveled out so people don't have to work their volume so hard. And then yeah, a lot of my stuff will be just put it on shuffle and just kind of hear different flavors, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, like that's what I was asking. I was like bars. And Desi found one of my new emotes. Yeah, everybody. If you're not a guitar player, then you should know when you become a guitar player, you form like 3 fantasy bands before you actually get into a room with other humans and make a band. That's where my PlayStation name comes from. Like my name is RFF Guitarist, and it stands for Right Foot Forward, which is a band that like I was about, we had a name, we had members, but we never had a single rehearsal, never wrote a single song. Like it was just like that band, like we're all band, like it's just the idea of wanting to start a band. But yeah, eventually that this shit changes and you find people and then that actually get together and then you actually have a band and that technically becomes your first band. But every guitar player has like those previous fantasy bands.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So like whenever you had that band, like how did you go about like recording and how soon did you start recording?
We actually were pretty fortunate that the bassist, and his name was Greg, and the guitarist, his name was John, or is John,
Yeah.
Their fathers made or recorded music too, like they were guitar players, so they had home studios, and so we had access to those. And then I started getting into home recording on a I started with I got a Fender Mustang amp, and it came with Ableton software.
Okay.
So I put Ableton onto my Windows laptop and found a way to like connect the amp as like an interface.
Okay.
So then I started getting in. I bought Steven Slate drums.
Okay.
It was like the 4th edition at the time, and so I got into starting to record. Like that's not, I guess, like I had been recording previously, like on an 8-track Boss recorder, and I even had like an MP3.
That's where you like just press play and record.
Yeah, like I had been into. I had been trying to record since like 2006, since I was like 9 years old, basically.
Like with whatever you could find.
Yeah, exactly. So
because that's pre-iPhone, so you couldn't just like record a voice memo.
Right.
So like, what were you like? What did you have?
I had this thing that I'd have to search it up, but it was made by, I believe, Tiger Electronics. It was like this MP3. Well, I don't actually truly know how it technically stored the files. It was either MP3 or like WAV or something like that. But like basically, it had like an 1/8 inch like little arm that like sticks out, and you can like plug it into like a headphone jack.
Okay.
Right.
And
then hit record. So like the first thing I ever recorded was actually was Eminem. I believe it was the song. I want to say it was. Fuck, I can't quite. I want to say it was "Shake That" or something like that. It was like one of Eminem's popular songs in like 05 or 06, and like I just like my parents had this like boombox set up, so like I plugged this little like, recorder thing in. And like just recorded it off the internet,
Holy shit!
Like I was just able to listen to it, and I'm not quite sure how I would search up this device, but maybe other 2000s kids will remember it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it lets you just kind of. I guess it's a form of piracy, really. Like, honestly, it's like piracy for kids.
Yo, I come from the LimeWire generation.
Yeah.
You already know. Like, I was downloading every fucking album and song I ever wanted to hear.
Right. Yeah, everyone is giving their computers some sort of fucking destructive virus from LimeWire, dude.
Most definitely.
But yeah, anyways, like like I've been recording for a long time, but anyways, like circling back, like once I had this like laptop sort of set up, then I was able to send files to people. Is the distinction, I think. And so yeah, we were in a position where we just had the tools and resources to be able to start piecing stuff together, and it was mainly done between like my house and the other guitarist's house, but the bassist, his house also was, like that was where we tracked our drums at for our first EP.
Okay.
So we just kind of found a way to, utilize these.
That's
different
crazy.
places.
So you recorded like every instrument basically in a different house and then put the whole track together?
Yeah, I think almost, Yeah.
That's crazy. That's a cool way to do it. Is this how you were writing songs? Like, did you have a demo and then you just like send it over? Yeah,
there was one song that we actually made a music video for called Headstones that we wrote that one. I think it had been like demoed out a bit, just a little bit, like on the computer, I think, but the majority of it was written in the same room, in the garage together. And I think that was like the most sort of rewarding songwriting experience I've had.
Yeah,
where
cool.
It was really like the band got together, like vibed off of an idea, and like then we got to a point where we were like rehearsing it, like playing it back for each other like 3-4 times, like before this like practice ended, right?
Yeah.
And that felt really cool. And so the other ones would be like written mainly, I think, between our vocalist and the guitarist. They'd come together and work on something at night, send it over to me. And, like, we would kind of work on the songs like you just like start it and like write as far as you can go, just kind of like leave it where your idea just like falls off, and then send it to the other member, and they just like pick up where you left it.
Yeah.
And so like our structures didn't have much repeating parts at all.
Yeah.
Like, it was mainly just kind of like this like evolving sort of like progressive thing, I guess.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. Like, because you can hear everybody's like, I don't know, like flavor. Everybody's like different. Yeah. Everybody's different, you know what I'm saying? Everybody writes melodies and chord progressions and everything different, and like it's like what you lean into, what may be obvious to you might like someone else might never have thought of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very
true. So like having like three different voices and hearing those come across in one song, like that's a really cool way to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. It definitely got. You know, I just felt like it was quite. It was more equitable in a way, where more involved,
Hmm.
and then because somebody could write a part, and then people would write parts within the part. You
Yeah.
know, so there was just kind of this intricacy of writing, where it made it feel like it was all of our music. You know,
Yeah.
and whereas like nowadays, like a lot of stuff, it's just kind of made by somebody on a computer, where um, a lot of the other kind of roles are already presented for
Hmm.
people. Um, which is that's how we were doing it too. Like, I would program the drum parts, but then like our drummer, he was a far better um, drummer, like in the way he thought of like patterns and
Hmm.
like paradiddles, or like his expertise that went into him learning that instrument. That stuff would shine through, because like for me, I'm just like giving it like
Yeah.
punk beats basically, and
Yeah.
like impossible fucking three-handed shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. I'm definitely glad to have musicians or like drummers back in the day make sense of my programming
Yeah.
nonsense.
No, it's cool. Like, I've hired this one drummer twice off of Fiverr because I wanted that exact feel. Like, I wanted a real human element feel, and I like programmed some drums, and then I like found some dude on Fiverr that was like really dope, and then sent it over to him, and I with the programmed drums, and then one with just a click track. And then he's like, when he sent me back, he sent me all the different stems and shit of all the different parts, and I was like, yeah, this is fucking dope. And there's just so many little like ghost notes and
Yeah.
little techniques that if you're not a drummer you don't really pick up on. Like there's stuff that like I see a drummer do and I'm like holy shit, and then I'll hear a song that I know like the back of my hand, and then I hear it in that song and I'm like whoa, like I didn't even hear that ghost note. I never would have heard that ghost note if I wasn't thinking about it
Right.
from that other song. But some things are just placed so perfectly. Like like the vines, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
like the
do.
vines, like I like their drums. When I first started listening to that band, I was like, they're so simple. You know what I mean? They're just straight drums, right? 20 years later, I listen back and I'm like, holy shit, there is so much going on, and it sound like if you're not a drummer, you're not paying attention. It's not the
Right.
point of the song, right? Most people listen to the melody, the words, whatever, not the drums, the intricacies of the drums. But yeah, you hear that shit, you're like, wow, this dude's like incredible. Like he knows, like there's a level of like technique and like you know they putting your voice in the instrument,
Yeah.
and then there's a level of like restraint, which is equally important.
Yeah.
Not
Absolutely.
overplaying, and stuff like that. So that's when people nail it, they nail it, and you might not even notice they're just sleeping on the shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's really cool. So like you preferred him to drum, like you just sent him drums and you knew that they were gonna
Yeah.
go
Like
away.
I remember one time with my friend, my good friend David. He was a drummer in this band, and we were at a sleepover, and like I was I was we were out. I was trying to work on a song, and like he was down for a while too, but like I'm trying to program these drums and just like get it exactly how he wants, and it was just so funny because at a certain point, he just like wanted to play some Call of Duty. It was just like, bro, like, this is work right now, and like it was work because I was using these like Bose headphones that had like sound cancellation, and
Okay.
it made my fucking ears feel like I was underwater,
What?
like I was like deep diving, like it was just this weird sensation, and I was just like powering through it, just trying to make music, and like. I remember David just giving me that like just sort of reminder, just like bro, like let's chill, man.
Like I thought, are we chilling or are we
Right.
working?
Yeah, and that was just I was always like overly ambitious for a lot of my younger years, but yeah, but I could rely on like when we would play shows. Him and I had another drummer named Connor in that band, and they would they would sometimes sort of like improvise different parts or just like switch it up, and like that stuff was always like pretty interesting, or just like kept it lively, you know. So
Yeah.
it was pretty interesting trying to figure out how to put that down on a record, or you know,
like which one are you gonna go with?
yeah, exactly. Are
Yeah.
you gonna try to like really like figure these patterns out to death, or are you gonna try to just like let the record be just like the capture of one performance, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that ultimately, I don't know. I think it was really cool. There was something to that first record. Um, this was an EP I'm talking about, where we just kind of, there's a lot of compromises to it, I would say, but there was a lot of character to it, and it came out at a time when we were like gigging and like getting a good fan base going. So, though I may view it as like one of the kind of the rawest sort of things that I've officially put out, it also was like, it also had the most, it made the most impact to everyone who sort of you know, listened or checked it out, right?
Yeah.
You know, compared to like my newer stuff that I have on SoundCloud, like it's far less captivating, you know. And so I definitely respect that collaborative effort.
So, like, were they mainly instrumentals?
No, those had a lot of vocals to them, actually. Mainly a vocalist named Tyler, and then the other guitarist John was he would, well, both of them would sing and sort of scream, and then I would also do like backup screams because I hadn't figured out how to sing harmonies yet. I'm still figuring that out, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would do some screams too, and then like once we were the band Past Self on that record, there's a lot of vocalists. We just had a lot of friends like participate in like gang stuff or like do guest features, and like there's
fun.
like 6 people's voices on that record.
That's crazy.
And
so
yeah.
were the lyrics like written the same way, where you just like one vocalist added something and then you get the next part and then the next vocalist added something to that
sort
next
of part? Yeah, I think it was mainly written by Tyler, but there was some choruses where I wrote them, or some bridges, and you know, so like we really just sort of followed like best idea wins.
Oh, okay.
It would,
Did you have like a formal vote, or was it like?
I think I don't remember formal votes. I think it was just like once like 3. Well, I guess there was about like, so there's a group of 5 of us, right? 3 of us are like writers, and but 4 of us like are pretty like conscious, you know. Like the drummers were, they definitely had opinions and cared, but they weren't as much of like pushing a vision necessarily, which is totally fine. They had enough physical stuff to worry about, you know? And so I think that like the majority rule kind of came from like just three of the people who were pushing the sort of vision. If they were on board of something, then all 5 would get behind it.
Okay.
And it wasn't too often that anybody felt like the odd man out necessarily, until I think like in the end of that band's life, getting into like trying to get perfect recording takes started to put people out, just because like then you start to have like producers record stuff or editing, and you know, at that point, I mean, people, literally don't necessarily get to play their instrument on their record.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the truth, you know, kind of behind the curtain for a lot of bands.
Yeah.
You know.
So, like, is that something that still resonates with you today? Like, would you rather, like, every band member play their own instrument on, like, a rock record or whatever, whoever's listed?
I would. I think that would make for a lot more interesting music, and I think that would make for a lot better musicians. You know, I think that when somebody doesn't get to play on the record, there's sort of some covering up happening, and it's very understandable, and like, you know, teach their own as far as how they want to make their art. But I think that almost everybody could agree that, you know, they want to be able to play their stuff and they want to be able to record it, you know, if they're putting their name on it.
Yeah, most definitely. Like, I agree in a lot of ways. Like, definitely agree that everybody should make their art however they feel like it, right? But like as far as you said with musicianship, like it definitely makes you a better player to play a pass of one solo in one take, you know, in one pass. You know what I mean? And or you know, without punching in. I mean, you know what I mean? Like I'll do like 7 takes and on a solo or whatever, but I want to get it all in one pass. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I just feel like it vibes better, and usually I do like a lot of bends and stuff that is really hard to edit anyway.
Right.
But yeah, I just feel like it makes for a better recording too, and then you dial the tone in, and you can play the whole recording rather than compile takes. Where I compile a lot of takes of vocals, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like guitars, I usually don't. Not even rhythm guitars. Rhythm guitars, I'll do one full pass, and what is there, I'll never like time align it or anything like that. I don't know what it is. Like why my guitar, how I feel different about vocals than guitar. Mainly, I guess it's because of my skill level. Like I feel like I could be a way better vocalist, or I just have a lot of trouble with my voice. So I will doctor it and medical patch it up as much as possible with my guitar playing. I've been doing that since forever. So it's like I should be able to play this in one pad. Like I should be able to.
That's how I am with bass guitar. Like for a lot of my recordings, the basses have like the least amount of editing or like comping on them.
Oh, yeah.
Just because the way I look at it is like if I'm playing just one string, then like I should probably like put some practice in there.
Yeah.
You know? Like guitar is so fucking hard to where like some of my songs like I literally can't play if my fingernails are overdrawn.
Yeah.
Because of like the voicings and like the fretting.
Mm-hmm.
So like with those, I give myself some leeway that I can do some studio tricks, like not to be deceitful, but just to get it done. You know.
Yeah, because there's also an element of time. You know, like I don't want to spend forever getting this take.
Right.
So I'm just gonna take that one that's half good and the other one that's half good on the other side.
And guitars are they're a compromised instrument with intonation. So like some keys where you're playing, like those chords will ring very true, and then other song keys you're playing, those will sound out of tune. And so you know, like then that's where you try to like get it set up right. But like some guitars just can only be so in tune. So you almost have to have, or like if you want your music to be in tune, then you would have to record in sections and like and adjust it, right? And so like that's kind of, aside from people like making mistakes, that's like kind of like the more practical reason for like separating your guitar performance, like you know, chunking it up. It's like is dealing with the instrument itself, not necessarily the player. But of course, a lot of people use it as a crutch, you know. And there's the times when I try to use the technology as a crutch, like those songs like sound like bad, like I don't want to show them to people. You know, when I've like really just like copied and pasted something, like
over and over again.
That's just to draft it, like this, to sketch it, you know. That's not something I want to present as like authentic.
I do that a lot, where I'll sketch something out and then like copy paste like a guitar riff from here to here, and that ends up staying there till the end, until I basically like I either like one try to convince myself that it sounds all right and that it's not bothering me, or two, actually do the work and delete it and record it at the end. You know what I mean? So, and usually like 9 times out of 10, if I cut it and record it again, it's gonna sound better anyway, because you know I know what sounded wrong with that one. Like I'll flick the pickup, I'll change pickup or whatever I think would better suit that section or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's so many things that can go wrong. Like you said, the guitar is an imperfect instrument. Like it's by design. So yeah, it's there's a lot of things you can do to doctor your shit, but there's like a lot of things you can do to also like, you know, make it sound as good as it possibly can.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, for me, the reason comes from like, you know, this all stems from performing live. You know, before there was recorded music, there was performed music, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, I've always just wanted to try to practice the hell out of my songs so that way I could be able to play them flawlessly, right?
Yep.
So, so I try to take that same energy to recording, and that's honestly why things take so long. You know,
I completely understand, and I fucking released 60 songs now in the last 3 years, which is ridiculous, crazy output work. But that that didn't mean I wasn't taking my time on the song, because the first 8 songs I worked on for 10 years, so I finally caught up to myself this year. It's fucking crazy, but man, I completely forgot where I was going with that.
I think, well, that's a good point. You know, that's where I'm at too. Is like trying to find that rhythm of like, okay, like you've got the ability, but now you also maybe know the methods, like the shortcuts to take, I guess.
Yeah.
You know,
and literal shortcuts, like actual, like control whatever, and like I've learned so many of those that have just completely sped up my workflow. Like I was like, man, I should have learned this shit a long time ago.
Right, should have read the manual.
Read the manual, like watched YouTube videos, but
right,
it's crazy when you're first starting out. Like, you know, you just want to get the job done, and then it's like you watch one video, it's like, this is how to, you know, get your guitar to signal to come through Ableton or whatever, and like, okay, got it, boom, and then you just start recording.
Yeah,
and you don't like
know anything else. Nothing else could be helpful, right?
Nothing else will ever be helpful. That's all I need. And then eventually you're like, these could sound better. What am I doing wrong? And then the production takes hold. So like, so you got the Ableton guitar rig. Were you like recording bass? Did you have a bass guitar at that time too?
I did. If right around there, if not a little bit after, which actually connects back to Fall Out Boy. I got a Pete Wentz Squire Precision bass.
Nice.
So, I had that, and I still have it today. It's still like my main electric bass guitar.
Sweet.
So yeah, I got that going, so I could be able to, you know, that to me that was all I needed, like drums, guitars, bass. Like I didn't even need like, I really I love instrumental music, or like to me, you know, like vocals are like, I don't listen to acapella music.
Yeah.
Nothing against it. It's beautiful. It's hard work. But to me, like, you know, the band is the instruments.
Yeah.
And so, like at that point, I was just like, I'm a band, you know, like.
Yeah, that's like, so interesting, because I've literally never thought of that flip before. Because I love like Legend of Zelda music, Final Fantasy music, Super Mario, Kirby, like just other scores. Like one of my favorite songs ever is the score to this obscure movie called Brick with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. You know, like about a fucking drug dealer and a brick of heroin. But the score to that movie is fucking amazing, and like I never like consider like I don't listen to acapella music. I like never seek it out. There's no song I can really think of that I could point out. Maybe some Jacob Collier, but
sure,
yeah. But I don't actively seek out acapella. But instrumental music, I'll listen to that shit all the time. I have a whole playlist of it too. By the way, playlist exclamation point playlist if you want to check out those. I do a little plug right there. But yeah, I love instrumental music, so that makes so much sense, and that's what I've always been invested in, is like what I always call vertical songwriting, which is like basically stacking notes and how they move, like to like voice leading. It's like things I later learned the terms for, like voice leading and melodies and stuff like that, and how it all worked together as one piece. Orchestras, big bands, you know what I'm saying? Like the low brass plays the bass notes, and then these instruments are playing the high notes, and then you have percussion. You know, it's like I loved how all the moving parts work together, and that's one thing that I love about playing in a band versus like, because you know I've morphed into this like one-man band, part hip-hop project, right? So when you play a rap song, you just play a beat, the beat goes, and then when it's done, you're done. That's it, right? Yeah. Whereas if you're in a band, dude, like you were talking about, like the drummers trying different things, or if you just want to take one section and just jam on it for a minute. I don't know if you ever did something like that.
Yeah.
Where you just have one section and you're just like, no, keep it going, and then like hype the audience up and stuff like that. I love the control you have with a band and the synergy, like looking at each other. You're like, did you hear that? Oh, yeah, he fucking heard that shit. Yeah. like hardly even the cues. I mean, just like vibing together. Like you hear the drummer do something insane, you hear the bass player do some crazy run.
Yeah, or even the stage moves too.
Yeah,
I missed that. You know, just seeing seen somebody do some fancy footwork or a crazy
Yeah.
spin or a guitar flip.
Yeah.
I'm just feeling like, fuck yeah, like we're
Yeah.
rocking, dude.
Yeah, it's rad. Not to say I haven't seen cool shit at a rap show, because I've definitely seen people do some crazy shit.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but it's just something about a band. I love it. The bigger the band, the better. I saw this
Yeah, a lot
band
of
from Fort Worth called Telegraph Canyon. Do you know them?
No, I haven't.
First time I ever heard of them, we went to go see a rapper, Astronautilus, out of Seattle in Florida. I don't know. He claims both, I think. But anyway, they played.
That's like far in.
Yeah, I know, it's the opposite. It's so weird.
Cars sound Captain America, bro.
Yeah, right. I know we recorded like his first record in Seattle, but something about Florida too, so I don't fucking know. Anyways, they played a show at Rubber Gloves in Denton, and Astronautilus was headliner, right? And he's just a rapper, right? We saw him like twice before that. All he had his laptop. This time he had a band. He had like a guitar player, a drummer, and a bassist, and he still had his beats. So they just kind of add and enhance. It was really cool. So we're like, okay. But the first band that was playing was called Telegraph Canyon. We never heard of them, right? And we're like, okay, like what could they be? This is gonna be interesting. And they start setting up. They bring like the big like orchestral bass drum, like they bring that out. Like, that's interesting. The dude like sets up like a couple acoustic guitars, one steel, with like the steel, like it's like a dobro. Is it still a dobro if you play it like that? Like
I want to say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Right. Yeah, that, and then they bring a banjo out, and me and my brother look at each other. We're like, oh, we're gonna love this shit. I don't know what the fuck they're about to do. And yeah, they played their first song, and like instantly we were hooked. And my brother bought their record that day, and yeah, they're fucking fantastic. Big band. They're like imagine like the Lumineers, or but bigger, like more instruments and stuff. They had like a keyboardist and organ, like we're playing a Rhodes and those little bells. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was huge, and I've loved going to shows and like being introduced to artists by seeing them live for the first time. Like that's just a perfect way to be introduced to any artist.
Yeah, it's the most like visceral sort of way.
Hell yeah.
It maybe isn't like. That's what's kind of cool about getting like budget behind you, is that then what you're presenting is more true to the vision.
Yeah.
But still, like, just I think if somebody's at a level where they're performing, then that's a level that you can kind of receive, and it's like the essence of it,
Oh yeah. So like, how did you relate? Like, did you ever? When you started learning guitar, did you ever like go against like Rock Band and Guitar Hero? Like, I'm done with that little kid toy. Like, rebel.
Not rebel, but I do. Well, to be honest, I think it happened like as a guitar player. Like my brother, like, cause I got the full set, right? Mm-hmm. So then my brother would play the guitar controller, and I would play the drums. Mm-hmm. So like I'd play real guitar, and then I would play Rock Band drums, because I didn't have an actual drum kit. Mm-hmm. So I was able to kind of like maintain my love for that game, even though I was learning the real instrument. Mm-hmm. And then Rock Band 3 had this like this whole like MIDI sort of thing to it, where you could learn like real keyboard or real drums and real guitar.
Yeah. I didn't know I had a keyboard with it.
Yeah, and it was more, that equipment was like more than I was able to invest into, so I didn't go that route. And then Rocksmith came out, so you could like plug in your real guitar. Mm-hmm. But around that, I think for me it pretty much went like I was playing I was playing drums in Rock Band till the Avenged Sevenfold incident.
Okay.
Right, where I destroyed the kit. So then that put me out. And then around that time, I think like the band rehearsals for me were getting more common. Mm-hmm. And so I think I just kind of literally like shifted from like playing the video games to like now I'm in a band. Like, now I actually like. I gotta show up.
You want to play drums, now you gotta go to rehearsal, so you can actually get on them for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And then I was actually a real guitar
Monica,
player.
What's up, man? Just talking about you. Hello, governor. Yeah, we're talking about Guitar Hero and Rock Band and stuff like that. Yeah. So like, did you get a lot of time to drum at the rehearsals? Like, did you ever like?
Just a little bit. Like I suffered like it's like I just like could not separate my limbs, like you know, to be able to like do like the drummers who can play a different rhythm with each of their arms and legs, you know, like polyrhythms and like that type of independence. Like I just did not have it for the longest time. Like I still struggle to even play guitar and like sing because it's just like, you know, the whole like different sort of mindset thing. And so honestly, when it comes to drums, like I've had a great embarrassment about playing them like throughout my life, and that's something that in recent years I've been able to put hours into sort of overcoming.
Oh yeah. So like you wouldn't. So you're saying you basically were afraid to ask sometimes to play because you didn't want to play in front of people.
Yeah, or like I would hop on and like goof around sometimes, of course, but like in general, yeah, I never really like played the real drums because of just like feeling like I sucked, or like, you know, people would joke about it for sure, you know, and so yeah, just too self conscious, or just feeling like too beginner. But and I think that was just kind of contrasted by like how much better at guitar I was, you know, or like for me, I was just like, well, I don't want to like restart. Like it's like I already play guitar in a band like that's like starting to gig in Seattle. So like why would I put myself?
So at that
back
point,
to
you
level
destroy
one?
the Rock Band drum kit, and then you're like, well, I'm just gonna go to rehearsal, and then you're like, you know what, I'm most comfortable on guitar anyway. This feels good.
Pretty like I guess for me, all the stuff I do is kind of in tandem. You know, it's like player design in a video game. You know, how you have like stats.
Yeah.
It's like you like level, but you have to like level down other ones.
Yeah.
To like level, you know what I mean? So like, it's like, all right, put some points in the drums, and then like let's dial those back and dump that in the guitar player, or like dial that back, dump it into being a mix engineer or whatever. So you know, for me, it all kind of just depends on like, it just depends on what has the most traction, to be honest. Or you know, like in the beginning, what had the most traction was just like practicing and like learning stuff, learning how to write, and then it was like learning how to play with other people. And now at this point in my life, it's learning how to still like how to finish recordings like at a level that's as imagined, you know, and then like how to package that and distribute that. So yeah, I think maybe I didn't necessarily like think like, all right, broke the drums, gotta play guitar or something like that. But you know, I guess that is kind of like the timeline of it.
Yeah. Oh, that's great, dude. I was obsessed with Rock Band drums, and I was even like, I refused to play the guitar for like a while. Like I didn't even want to touch the guitar controller. Like I was still bitter, even when the drums came out and we went and bought the motherfucker. You know, that guitar is for other people who came over to play. I'll play the drums, but literally, then I just picked up a guitar because I was like, whatever. I was waiting for my turn on the drums, and that's how I kind of got good. Like I would do like medium to hard depending on the song, but I would never do Dragon Force or anything like that. Plus, like the type of songs I like to play. But like. Yeah, I eventually reluctantly picked up the guitar after actually learning real guitar, so I kind of went backwards. With the Guitar Hero route. But yeah, we're at the hour and 3 minutes. I want to take a break. We're gonna run ads so that Twitch knows that they owe me money, and we're gonna come back with Troy. We're gonna talk about basically your journey from Seattle to here. We'll see how that went. But yeah, stick around. We're back. Thank you for enjoying those Taco Bell advertisements. Yo, the Flamin' this no longer an advertisement, but those Flamin' Hot Frito burritos are back. So go get yourself some Taco Bell. Not right now. Stay put. Let's talk about the music you were into while you're making. While you were basically developing as a young musician, you said new metal, like it was.
Yeah, so like rising. How, like my parents, you know, kind of being into like what was on the radio or what was on TV. You know, the first sort of movement, or you know, I guess someone would call them sort of trends or like eras, right? You know, that I really sort of witnessed was the new metal one, which for me was really like bands such as System of a Down, Korn, Disturbed. Um, those were definitely like the heavy hitter sort of ones.
Imagine Linkin. Did you say Linkin Park?
Linkin Park,
Yeah.
of course, and Limp Bizkit. Yeah, those. I could list plenty more. I noticed like there's like similarity between these bands, and I didn't understand that was like what was following grunge necessarily. I just kind of like was new to the world. I noticed like this music's cool, like everybody likes it. It seems similar. I remember like hearing like Metallica as well, like being played on the radio, and I heard plenty of like hip hop and R&B and pop music too. Like lots of that stuff too.
The same way, right? Like with the video game soundtracks and stuff.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Like Tony Hawk Pro Skater was huge for me. Like Del the Funky was a Homo Sapien, and then like early Chili Peppers and Anthrax, and just like the craziest wide range of like genres and types of music that you could possibly hear. Right. Same thing with like Need for Speed and Burnout. Burnout too is one for me.
Yeah, music soundtracks were huge, and so like to me there was. Still to this day, there's just two kinds of music. There's good songs and bad songs.
Yeah.
And there's even good songs with bad parts or bad songs with good parts. And so I like anything that's good or like that grooves and sounds cool or fun. So but I remember the new metal sort of movement, and then that. Led to like the pop punk and the emo sort of stuff. And my first concert was Fall Out Boy with Hawthorne Heights, All American Rejects, and From First to Last.
All four of them on the same bill?
Yeah, in Los Angeles.
What the fuck? That is a crazy lineup.
Yeah, that was in 2006. So that was like I saw that show with like Pyro. The bands like had like uniforms and like.
Oh my god! So that was like right when From Under the Cork Tree came out. That's like one of my favorite records ever. Yeah, I don't listen to a lot of Hawthorne Heights. Hawthorne Heights. I like couldn't figure out how to say their name for a minute. All American Rejects, their first record. I played that shit to death. And what else did you say? From First to Last. Me and Payne had just rediscovered that song Emily. Beautiful, man. I love that song. Dude.
Yeah, and then, come to find out that was Skrillex. All these years later.
Yeah,
what I saw.
Automatica with the Louis Armstrong quote. Anything you need to tap your foot to is God music. No, you had it right the first time. God music. Bars. Holy shit! What? What? She probably heard me mention her. We rediscovered the song Emily from First to Last. That was 2 froms in a row. So that show, like,
rest in peace to Chicken Quesarito, though. I have to shout that out.
Rest in peace, Chicken.
That's actually a really big deal.
Straight up, dude. The quesarito, the enchilito, man. What are y'all doing?
My story is not important compared to that. That's actually why I'm here.
Stop the press, man. This is actually, taking donations to get Taco Bell and.
Will you sign my petition?
Sign the petition. Link down below. Get Taco Bell to bring back all the things that we want and that were named in this chat. Hallelujah. I felt like that needed a hallelujah. I felt like a hallelujah moment. Oh man! All right, we interrupt this Taco Bell advertisement for an interview with Troy Clemens. All right.
So no, anyway, that's fucking dope.
No, Skrillex, what?
So yeah, like I really caught the end of his set actually from First to Last, but then years later, for me to realize that like that guy I saw is Skrillex, from that show. And yeah, that was.
Did he do like electronic stuff at the show?
No, this was when he was.
It was just
he was still just the vocalist, for that band, and so.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That was gave a huge impression to me, of course, like it's rock star shit, like
like you can do anything, like that. It sends a great message because like, especially in like my generation, like. When pop punk, I would consider my generation like pop punk was the shit. That was what everybody listened to, and everybody's favorite bands was like either Simple Plan, Green Day, Good Charlotte, Blink-182, anything like that, and like hard like punk purists, they would be like, "Why do you listen to that stuff? Why, it sounds like their nuts are being squeezed."
Oh,
Like
yeah.
Newfound Glory, like there was a lot of hate on that because even though it was punk, it was pop punk. So like,
Right, they thought it was a contradiction.
yeah, they thought it was a contradiction, right? And it's like, yeah, I don't know, I forgot where I was going with that too, but like, it's just, um, yeah, there's like a level of like purists that that won't accept like artists trying something new or maybe trying something that's not like deemed appropriate for punk or whatever or for hard rock. Like I haven't really heard much from First to Last, but like I know they're like an emo pop punk kind of band, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for the lead dude to go and make like just straight electronic music and not even just make it, but basically change the game. He was like a comet to EDM. You know what I mean? I remember like he was like in Call of Duty and shit. Call of Duty Black Ops 2 was like a huge feature, and he's like made music for it, and then he did music with Utada Hikaru on Kingdom Hearts 3. Like that's
Nice.
it's fucking insane, man, how big he got. And by doing something completely new. And I love that kind of thing. Like when artists like change their sound, that's what I'm looking for. Like Kid Cudi, Speeding Bullet to Heaven, another great example. Like just doing something completely left field or, experimenting or whatever. I love that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's. I find that, there's the stuff that you can. There's stuff that we make that we like and other people like, but it's more intriguing to hear what people make just because they like it.
Yeah, right? Just because they like it. Like that's how punk came to be, and like that's like one of the genres that's like that's not punk. Like everybody has their own idea of that's not punk, and like the least punk thing you can do is to adhere to any formula. You know what I mean? Like to say, oh, it's not punk because the vocals are pitch corrected, or all the guitars are time aligned, or it's not punk because they use a synthesizer at one point. It's like, nah, man. The least punk you can do is like the most punk thing you can do is like,
yeah, I get you.
Not do the normal, not do what's expected. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you challenge.
Yeah,
challenge.
Challenge the system.
Right. Yeah. Challenge what somebody or how someone thinks it should be in a way. But because it's harmless. It's just it's decoration.
Like metal music. Like I don't fucking listen to a lot of metal music. Like heavy metal and like the really like hardcore like Satan-y shit. You know what I mean? Like with like black metal and stuff like that. It's crazy because they're just pushing the bar, dude. They're like there's a market for it. And it's so cool that basically anybody can make anything and somebody's gonna fucking relate to it. You know what I mean? And it's just more or less like how many at the same time can you capture?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
That's
like
kind of
porn.
what, huh? You say it's like porn?
Yeah.
Man, Troy's coming in close with the analogies today. Like that's fucking amazing. Yeah. Desi Mrs. Painted. I know. I was like, ooh, she's gonna be disappointed to know that she could have been hanging out with Desi as well. No, she's having fun. She's chilling at the pool, man. Pulling at the sea salt pool. Yeah, so shout out to Summer Vibes, Hot Girl Summer, hashtag 2023. Hell yeah. Yeah, dude, music. So you that was the first concert you went to? Like, were you already playing music at that point? Fall Out Boy?
No. I think I definitely credit that for like making me want to like get on the stage, because it was, it's fucking badass. Like Fall Out Boy had pyro, and they had like these backdrops that I think they had like 3 or 4 of them for the set, so they were just like have this visual aspect to their like themes.
Did it like the curtain? Did like a curtain fall?
Yeah, like
drop
it would
like that.
fall. Yeah, like at like
certain points in the song.
Yeah, exactly. And it was called the Black Clouds and Underdogs tour, and so like these images were like these art style. It was like illustrations of like misfortunate stuff, like this dude like walking under a ladder, or like seeing a black cat.
Oh, that's
like,
cool.
He was like in a bathtub and like a I think like a toaster oven or something, you know. And it was just like I could just see the production, and they looked like they were wearing these uniforms where they looked like kind of like a emo Sergeant Pepper's band.
Okay.
And it was cool. You know, and like Hawthorne Heights were all wearing all white, and so just seeing that sort of like production value, just like it made being in a band scene bad.
Yeah, that's super fucking rad. Were you going to any like local shows like post that?
No, I didn't start going to local shows until I think really until I started playing them, to be honest. And then I saw a lot of bands in Washington State.
Oh hell yeah!
And you and I did a gig in Idaho as well. But yeah, then I started seeing a lot more of who was around. You know, started getting to know people.
That's cool. Oh yeah.
That wasn't much later in my life. You know, almost 10 years later.
Were you still going to like those huge shows, like those arena shows?
Yeah. I still I still see some bands. Like recently, I think I saw Interpol in Deep Ellum.
Oh,
that was a pretty big venue.
Yo, we wanted to go to that show. That was like 3 days after we saw Slothrust in Deep Ellum. It was like 3 days later, and I was like, dude, I want to go to 2 shows in 1 week, but it's like I couldn't afford it. Plus, that was like a much bigger show.
Yeah.
You're talking about the Factory?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the Factory last like September or early October.
Yeah, I think it was around April, I want to say.
Or was it April? Was it this year?
Last year. Yeah.
Last year? Okay. Oh, okay. No, it was the same week as Jacob Collier, I think. One of those. It was Jacob Collier or All J. And I was going to say, like, I'd never been to, like, a huge... And that's not even an arena, but, like, they had that huge production value. That's the first, like, 2022, April was the first time I'd ever been to a show like that. Like, other than that, like, up until 2022, I'd only been to, like, local bands and local artists and, like, lesser known, like, underground artists that came from smaller cities and stuff like that. And it was just small venues like that I would play, right? And everybody's crowded up, just like those are the artists that I saw. And, like, we would get there early, be right up on the front of the stage. Like, that was what I was used to. When we went to the Factory to see... pretty sure it was All J. We saw first, like, that shit was crazy because like everybody was like there. No, you know what? Come to think of it, I saw Korn in like 2014 or something like that.
That's right.
Yes,
talked about that.
Yes,
before.
I did see that, but we were like in the back, and I don't know if I wasn't really taking it as seriously, but they also didn't have like pyro, and it wasn't like that kind of a show. Gotcha. What I remember is mostly just lights and stuff. It was like a huge version of the shows I was already going to. And then they had what's his face, Jonathan Davis. He had his own EDM project, right?
Gotcha.
They opened, and then he opened, and then another DJ played second, and then Korn played. So it was more like a show I would normally go to, but just a huge version of it.
Yeah, that makes me think of when I saw System of a Down at the Key Arena in Seattle, where like, it was an arena of people, but they had like no screens, like. I think they just literally had like a carpet on the stage and then just like spotlights, and then they just played their fucking.
That's how I imagine like Rage Against the Machine would play too.
Yeah. That's interesting to see a band just like really bare bones it, but there's like such a big crowd for it.
Yeah, like All J, we saw them with Portugal the Man too. Okay. You know, have you heard them? Yeah. Like much of them? Yo, I'd only heard like Kicks or whatever. Just I can't remember the name of the song, but ooh, I'm rebel just for kicks, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that song and like one or two other songs that were also like pop-ish songs from the later records. I didn't know they'd been a band since I think the 90s, like late 90s. But they opened the show and like they had like rows of these vertical lights and the big backdrop screen thing, like the second they went on, we were like, this is crazy. This is unlike any show I've ever been to. ever. And yeah, it was just spectacular. They're a fantastic band, and they also like have this section where they do like this montage song, and they have a video, and the video plays like stuff about the city they're in. So they said Dallas, like blah blah blah, blah, right? And then they said, and just for you, and then they go into Pantera, or like yeah, I think that's the song.
Cowboys.
Yeah,
from Hell.
Yeah, and I was like, what? And they're just like, it just lights came up, and they were just jamming like all in sync, like doing that song from Pantera, and they just finished it out. And then they went back into their set, and I was like, that shit is crazy. You know, I've never seen anything like that. And then when All J played, I was again astounded because they're a 3-piece, and I found that out in the crowd. Like I did not. I was like, I've heard their records. Like, how many people is it? And Shannon, my wife, she's like, oh, it's like 3 people. I'm like, yeah, but I mean, how many people I tour with? You know, like I know it's like 3 people, but how many people? And she's like, I think it's just 3. And I was like, no. And they set up like 3 mics and 3 stand things, and I was like, no. And just 3 of them, and it's like the hugest sound I've ever heard in my life from just 3 people. Like, still one of the best shows I've ever seen. And that was the first big show I went to. The next one was like 3 weeks later. We saw Jacob Collier in the same venue, and again, it was only him, no openers or anything. And again, from the fucking get go, it was like just like props and like it was crazy. It was spectacular, you know what I mean? By definition, spectacular. You know, it was just incredible to see. And then we went and saw Slaughterhouse, and it was just back to the old good comfortable venue where I could get right up front.
Right.
Yeah, it's weird being like semi in the back. Only other experience like that too, we saw Rise Against and Rancid, which since they're punk, again, it was like big scale of a small show. Mm-hmm. But again, it was Rise Against and Rancid, so it was fucking huge. It was packed. Same place we saw Korn. And I remember that I had a big mohawk that time, and that was the second time I'd seen him. The first time I saw Rise Against, it was in the first show. It was in the Ridgely Theater, where I saw the first band I ever saw ever, which was a local band.
Oh,
it was
nice.
Like no one in there, you know what I'm saying? And then I go see Rise Against. It's a pretty good crowd. It's Rise Against. They were on the up and up. Like they had just released, I think, their the one Suffering the Witness. Which had like drones and Prairie the Refugee, Ready to Fall, and it was a pretty big crowd. But the next time I saw them, I was like, it was like Kurt Cobain, like fucking In Bloom, like all these like jockey dudes and popular people, and like, you know, I'm like, who are like? Last time I saw Rise Against, it was just a bunch of punks, and like now it's like all these dudes, and they were like they're statues like this watching Rise Against.
Right.
I'm like, are we at a punk show? And for some reason, they played The Good Left Undone. Then everybody started to move. But by the end of that show, like, we all showed up as a group, but we were all like smattered through the whole crowd because it was just hype. It was just hype after that. But yeah, it was a good show too.
Oh yeah.
What was the best show you've ever seen?
Best show. Man, I went to a pretty special show. It was called I want to say it was called Jingle Ball Bash, and I saw a bunch of...
Oh, Mirror Games also. Thank you for the follow. I didn't even see you pop in. Appreciate you. Sorry, I just noticed that.
There's like a bunch of bands that played, like Paramore, All Time Low. I think I want to say We the Kings, if I'm not mistaken.
You said a festival?
It was like it was just like a show, mm-hmm. but it was like a long bill.
Okay.
You know,
they all had smaller sets, or
yeah. Okay. And there was 303 also, and who else played? So many bands, you know, Boys Like Girls, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some, but definitely like Paramore and All Time Low were the highlight for me. And so that show was. It was almost like a Warped Tour in a night, you know.
Really?
Yeah, like.
And you get to see everybody
right?
Instead of just having to like, oh, they're playing here, but they're playing here.
Right. I think I would give it, and that was the first time that I crowd surfed, so awesome. That was pretty huge.
Did you jump off the rail, or
yeah, like someone picked me up. So, and yeah, I've stage dived, you know, of course. So those are fun too. But you know, I've seen so many sets, but I think I would give it to that. I believe it was called Jingle Ball Bash in 2010, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, that's rad. Hell yeah. And so yeah, was that here or was that back
That
in?
was in Seattle.
That was in Seattle. Hell yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, so like, okay, you were recording, you're playing songs, you're playing shows and stuff. Like, how big were these shows getting?
The ones that I performed,
Mm-hmm.
those were getting just to like I guess club level.
Mm-hmm.
Some nights would be like definitely never sold out, but some nights would be like pretty packed, you know. And so um, that was. But we would also do some fun stuff like play inside of like cafes or like put on our like we played at a music store once and like hosted like a big like camp out sort of thing, and like so or we played a basement show too. So like those are the more interesting ones to me than I suppose like the proper sort of um, club or theater sort of vibe.
Yeah. Was there any crazy events that ever happened at like one of your shows that you're like any crazy stories backstage, on stage, in the crowd?
The
Great smash guitar.
there's one time that comes to mind. It's so like I threw like a tantrum. It was like one of the final shows I played, and long story short, I just didn't have my power cable for my effects,
Oh.
so that's like a massive.
So what, you went directly in?
Yeah, and then my cable got stepped on and unplugged from the guitar, which I should have looped it through the strap, but there's also the part of me that like just didn't want to, and like so it just getting unplugged was like just pissed me off so bad that you know it's just like
So was it like one of those sections where it was like only you playing and it was like obvious, or was there like a good amount?
it was like I think the whole band was going. But I think that there was just like so much turmoil like within myself and like with other members in the scene really. This was at a house show actually, and so like my guitar was unplugged and I just like fucking took it over my shoulders and just fucking threw it on the ground. Like luckily the ground was carpet. That's probably why I had the balls to do it. But yeah, just like fucking plop, just like straight on the fucking ground. And like the worst part is that like I picked it up and like tried to play a section that was just me, and I had to like tune it while I was playing. And,
Oh my god!
yeah, it was like it was definitely my least professional moment. I'd never do that again.
So did they stop, like, or they just kept playing?
No, we powered through. But yeah, like
But they all noticed that you were pissed.
Oh yeah, I mean the crowd. It was a spectacle, you know. Like you got people like in the stairway, like just looking down, like at the band playing, and then there's you just see me fucking throw it. Like I don't know, they probably just thought it was like theatrics or something. But I'd say that's like that comes to mind.
So you said it was the last show you played?
One of the last ones. One of the, or at least like retiring that band name.
So, was that the only band you played with up there in Seattle?
I played in another band that was called Quieter, just for a couple shows. I played as a bass player for them. So
it was like someone that you adapted to, like you.
Yeah, I had to learn their songs like in a few days, and then got to play like a couple shows, like in different areas. I think it was like 3 shows, and. So yeah, those were the 2 groups I got to perform with overall.
Oh yeah. So like playing those bands up till did you move here first, or did you move a little bit before you came to Texas?
I moved from Seattle to Fort Worth directly.
So did music have anything to do with that?
No, in fact, like I didn't understand like how significant the sort of music scene is in DFW. Like I kind of thought of Fort Worth as maybe somewhere like more obscure than it is, or like you know, just because Seattle is like has this legend of being a music city, and then like I've been to Los Angeles and hear about Nashville or New York or whatever, just I hadn't heard much about Dallas. Like I think I knew Pantera was from out here, but yeah, I didn't realize that there was as much activity, or like I didn't. Definitely something unique out here is the amount of guitar players.
Yeah.
There's a good portion of it definitely is acoustic, but there's a lot of guitar players out here that I didn't understand it was so important to the culture.
Yeah, most definitely. Like everybody, like once we settled down here in Fort Worth, like I noticed the most common, most common instrument is like guitar, but like everybody's like also into metal because like everybody would talk about Pantera, and it's just like it seemed like metal was huge here because like I know a lot of people listen like Metallica and Pantera and stuff like that, and then there'd be like even it's Guns N' Roses metal. I don't know, like it'd be like
hard rock, I suppose,
hard rock,
something.
So yeah, there's definitely like a respect for the guitar, and like I always like that guitar right there, Woody. That's my first guitar, so that's the one I was gifted on my 14th birthday, but I learned everything on.
Nice.
So yeah, luckily I got a good guitar and not like a first act guitar because I probably would have done the same shit you did. But yeah, he's been through with me, but I always call him a whore because like everybody that I ever have met that plays guitar has probably played that guitar. You know what I mean? I used to bring it to school, and I was like one of the first people that started bringing like my guitar to school, like in its like soft case, and I would just carry it from class to class, and then like between like either at like PE, we would have to walk the track like 4 times and then just do whatever you want. Like that was like how they did it. Except for those days we had to do work or whatever. But I would like pull my guitar out and we sit in a circle and just basically pass it like it was a joint. You know what I mean? And everybody just play Wonderwall and then Blink-182 stuff and just whatever. Marilyn Manson, Sweet Dreams. You know, like the guitar player stuff. You know, Stairway to Heaven, all those songs, and I did that all the way up till my senior year. And in my senior year, our school kind of became like a fucking Nazi school where we had mandatory dress code, which was basically school uniforms, and basically had to buy a whole new wardrobe. And then the school like kind of pitched in, but it was like wasn't enough. And then me and my brother were rebels, but anyway, that school was just fucking full of like it was just Nazi bullshit. And one of the Nazi things that happened was we were at lunchtime we'd sit with whoever. Like we had a few different friend groups and we bounced, right? And like me, I had my guitar, so I'd bounce. Okay, I'm gonna go. Like I'd hang with my main group of friends, which were like wrestling nerds and video game nerds and stuff like that. But then I'd be like, okay, I'm taking my guitar to my guitar playing friends, and then I go over there and we sit and pass the guitar. So one day they just said, okay, at lunchtime you sit in your seat, and that's where you have to sit for all of lunch, and you can't move.
Oh damn!
And we're like, what the like? It was like every day there was like a new stupid fucking rule that does not make any sense that they would just implement, and that was just one of those things that it was just like one of the fucking final straws. Like we got to get that. That was our senior year, dude. They made it hell on us. It was horrible. So yeah, and just like I was pissed because I wanted to be able to take my guitar around. But anyways, yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I used to bring my guitar to school. Like, did you play guitar in high school? Did you ever take your guitar to school? Or?
Yeah, I remember. I actually just recently found this CD of these songs that I recorded on like the GarageBand app on the computer. Like I said, I was like went to the video productions class, like work on something after school, and I was just like demoing my fucking record, basically.
Fucking rock, hell yeah! That's what you got to do, man. You got to get access somehow. You're just like, I'm doing schoolwork. Let me go do schoolwork in this room. Exactly.
School of rock.
You know what I mean? Oh shit, yeah, that's dope, dude. Yeah. So did you brought your guitar to record?
Yeah, for sure.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember a time when I lived in Seattle where I was literally just like bringing my guitar to work, even just playing it on my like 30-minute breaks and shit.
Hell yeah.
You know.
So what brought you to Fort Worth then?
My parents lived here because of the military base.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I just moved out here just to restart and just get a mainly just like just because Seattle got too expensive, where I was investing into recording equipment and just trying to do the DIY music stuff, and that just wasn't agreeing with paying for rent out there.
Right, yeah.
So moved back here to join my parents, and then excuse me, from there just have been continuing to just build my operations, I guess.
Yeah. So like you got here and like what'd you bring with you? Did you bring like your that amp and the guitar and
Yeah,
Ableton and everything?
yeah, all of well, at this point, yeah, I had Pro Tools rig on a Mac, and then you know, a whole guitar collection, a drum set, you know, just like um, yeah, plenty of stuff to be making music.
Okay, so how long between like last playing in a band and moving here? Like how long was that?
That was, I think, like I think between that time was like I want to say about 3 years of
Okay.
not gigging. Or I think I had played like my last gig, or to this day, I think the last gig I performed was in, I believe it was like the very end of 2016.
Okay.
So, and then I moved here 2019. So that's, I guess, closer to maybe 2 years or so if you factor, but
Okay.
yeah, around there, 2 to 3.
Okay. So like in that 2 years, that was when you were learning about more about production.
Yeah,
Stuff?
completely.
And did that come from a desire of wanting to record your own songs?
Yeah, like even when I was in a band and when I initially moved to Seattle, me and some of the other guys, it was our goal to open a studio and to do like production and engineering professionally. Um, I don't know. I guess they changed their minds. So like they more so wanted to do it with their own music. I think than like being hired to do other people's.
Mm.
But for me, I've been working on doing like professional mixing since I want to say around 2015 is when I kind of was like, all right, that's a career path to go.
Yeah. So you were just basically from mixing your own band's music, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, did you already consider like taking on other clients and stuff at that point?
Yeah, like the music that was released was mixed by other people, but then after I had this whole experience where I went to California to a studio with a producer and an engineer that we hired and like just outsourced a lot of stuff. And I just kind of was in a position where I was just like waiting too long on stuff, and like it didn't necessarily meet my standards or like my expectations rather. So then from that point on, I was just like I already had I already was wanting to offer it to other people, but I think after that experience, and I was like, all right, I'm not so interested in hiring people to do my own. Then it was just kind of like, all right, now I make my own music and I help other people make theirs.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So like, so when did you start like acquiring gear like to start recording like yeah everything?
Yeah, I think that was, well, to be honest with you, I think only recently um, have I got to a point where I could record like multiple, like at this point a band, like say if you had a vocalist, a guitarist, and like the most of what I do is like MIDI programming and like tracking stuff at like multi-tracking, you know, or like so it's not necessarily like I haven't had a project where like a whole band has tried to record simultaneously, you know.
Okay, yeah.
So like I've had the equipment to like piece stuff together since about I would say 2014 or so.
Okay.
But recently I've had the computing power to be able to like um, and the resources even to be able to plug in like multiple sort of musicians and be able to get that recorded Um, so yeah, I guess kind of depends on like the approach.
Yeah. That's dope. Oh yeah. So like, um, are you ever like offering other like sections, like you like saying something like, you know, you think a string section would go here, or like maybe suggesting a synth part or something?
Yeah, yeah, all the stuff, all of the collaborations I do, like I'm very heavy handed in them, just because me and the other artists are we're very open to exploring ideas and like
Mm-hmm.
hearing things before we want to decline them. Like
Mm-hmm.
unless if you know, generally it's not too often that people are like suggesting something that's just like completely like
Yeah.
out of the question, you know. So usually things are just like that would be cool, and so then we give it a shot. And so all the time I'm introducing or just like I just kind of speak my mind, you know. And so I present like, what if we did this, and then you know, I work with people like yourself who are just like very super creative and prolific, you know, with
Mm-hmm.
ideas, and so we we explore a lot of things together, and so like I really like that sort of feeling of like it's like your song is their
Yeah.
song is yours,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah, most definitely. It's like it's a unifying like experience, you know, because you're having a helping hand. Like he we don't know. He helped me with Sleight of Tongue. You did the drums. You did a lot of production on like the guitars, and you did a good amount. It's been so long that I can't quite remember, but I know you had a hand in almost like every layer
Yeah,
of that song, and so like that's why he's main credit on that song. It's on Sick Parts Magna. But yeah, it's definitely like there's a level that song couldn't have reached without your help. You know what I mean? And like when I first met you, or like vibe, I think we played together yet? I feel like we should have a jam sesh one day.
yeah,
I
I
don't know if that's
gotta.
happened.
We haven't, but I host jams with my friend Tom Lil, and
Oh, bet.
so like met you and many of the musicians here in Fort Worth are welcome to attend.
Oh, fuck yeah,
So yeah,
dude.
we gotta we're gonna plan another one soon.
Oh
So
yes, most definitely, dude. Let me
we'll
know.
make it happen.
I'm gonna have to make that one because I can't remember like there was like some weird conflicting thing that happened the last one that because I was always like double booking myself. Like I'm ever since I got my PC set up and my new phone and shit. Like I've like obsessed over my calendar.
Oh
So
yeah,
let me check my calendar. You know, so I'm not like double booking things. Like that was like my
yeah.
number one sin. I'd be double booking everything.
It's very understandable,
But
man.
yeah, most definitely.
But yeah, that's something. Honestly, yeah, like to definitely want to like make that known that yeah, I host like these jams with my great friend, and people are welcome to come through. It's free, and you know we just have a good time playing
Yeah.
music.
Okay, jam sesh. It's free. Have a good time playing music.
Yeah,
Fort Worth, if you're in the area, come on now.
yeah. Honestly, like you know, everybody
Do you have like a
gets
house
along.
kit there, or how do those go?
Well, previous times we've had a drummer named Lil come through, and he's brought his own kit, and he's a great player, and that's been a lot of fun. But other drummers are welcome to bring their kits too. Like we practice in a or it's not practice, it's jam
Mm-hmm.
in a gym that's quite spacious. So
Oh, that's dope.
um, yeah, it's
So you could be like fitting a few different drum kits if we needed to.
yeah, exactly. So
That's
yeah,
dope.
we're gonna have one in a matter of weeks, I'm sure. So I'll put the invite out, and you're more than welcome to share it with those who maybe
Yeah,
can't.
most definitely. So like, okay, your jam session. Are you usually playing guitar? I'm assuming, right?
I bring my guitar rig. That's right.
So like, are you improvising like
Yeah,
Jimi
we.
Hendrixing all over?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Or you know, my best attempt.
Yeah, no. I don't want to overhype you. You know, nobody
Sure.
like Jimi Hendrix is a fucking god. But that's dope, man. Like I was really considering like setting up. It might not take too long. I might set up a guitar here, take a little break. You can set up a guitar and do a little jam session if you wanted to. I really considered it. I'll just play some rhythm on the acoustic, and you can play some lead if you want.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd
I'm
be
not
dope. All
opposed.
right, give it a minute. Because there's also there's a I also want to talk about like how did this jam session come to be?
Well, I got to give all credit to Tom. You know, it's it's his business, Fort Worth Strong, off Magnolia Street or Road. I'm not certain, but you know, here in Fort Worth, and we, you know, he just has the means of hosting that, so we make these like cool flyers, and then we just try to distribute them out to people, and you know, everybody's cool. Like you know, like if you're showing up to play music and have a good time, like that's what you're gonna have. Like it's not, you know, there's no drama. It's not like a rager type vibe or nothing, you know? And like people have been kind of shy, you know, or they feel like they gotta show off, and like no, like we're just having fun, and we'll have maybe like technical difficulties or whatever, and we just work through it and just get people like going, like, you know, get the amps working and whatever we gotta do.
This is like a session where it's like as many musicians as possible just jamming on the same song. Like someone just goes, and then you just go along with it.
Yeah, we just fucking like like there's videos of some like just really mesmerizing kind of stuff happening. Like once you get like 3 guitar players playing with the drummer.
You got videos of the last event? I gotta see these.
I don't think, that's a good question. I think I can pull something up. That actually would be
if they're I think I could pull it up on YouTube. Do you have one on YouTube or anything?
No, fantastic. This would be just like
just a recorded video.
Yeah, I'm not certain. I don't.
Because that would be really cool to see. Because I just like I said earlier, I just like seeing big bands like work together, just like just feed off each other's energy and just.
Yeah, I think it was sent to a group of us. So if I can find that from however far back, it shouldn't be too far. Oh, but yeah, you know, I mean, it's good. It's cool stuff. Like it's just fun, and there are times where it does get to be like something pretty special, I think. Let's see, this was a while back.
So what's your like main
oh, here we go.
Found it.
Yeah, so
okay, you can hear this shit. Are you playing the guitar?
I think I am playing guitar, but I believe it's like pitched down an octave. It's kind of more of a bass sort of vibe.
Oh, okay.
I think somewhere in here we got like pretty interesting.
So it's like not all high energy. They're chilling and vibing for a minute.
Yeah, it's much different than sort of what I record, or not necessarily, but like, you know, people may know me to be like a hard rock and metal kind of guy, but you know, I'm like a chameleon with guitar, really, or you know, I try to be just kind of find a role to serve and play that.
Hell yeah, dude, that's dope.
So this is, just like a vibe. We got some lights going and.
That's right. Is this the same light I'm using here? It almost looks
right,
like it.
Yeah. I think so.
That's crazy.
But
I'll have to.
There was
splice some.
Yeah, there were some moments. His vocalist singing.
Oh, nice. He's riffing. Yo.
Yeah, it's kind of like desert tripping style this last time or something.
Like Pink Floyd fucking vibes.
Yeah, some, you know, I don't know.
That's cool.
Just have fun, you know, and it's okay to hit wrong notes or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's really
just move a half a step either direction. You're on the right note, you know.
You know.
That's dope. So what would you consider like your main role in music, like right now? Like, what is your main thing?
My main thing is Well, I'm definitely a producer engineer,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm a guitar technician.
Mm-hmm.
And moving forward, I'm getting into something very important to me is getting into software and like making templates and presets. And
Okay.
so like I'm trying to streamline like using like just the types of devices that musicians have to use, whether it's like the computer or like an effects pedal or something. Just trying to make that stuff more plug and play. And
Okay.
so like I'm actually gonna be um, I need to almost make a survey or something and just like reach out to like I've done it with some people personally and not on some Facebook groups, but the more people the merrier. Like I need to just find out what problems people are trying to solve and like what shortcuts they need to know.
Yeah.
And just kind of start to like catalog the stuff onto a website and just really become like a resource for helping people. The way I see it is like I think like the best musicians are those of us who can like make the greatest result in the shortest amount of time.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that like so many um, creative people are. I think they have a lot more potential than they maybe realize, and but it just comes down to like how efficient their workflow is.
Yeah.
So if
Like
there's
literal workflow efficiency, not just like actual putting the work, because they're putting in the work.
exactly,
It's just not as efficient as it could be.
right. So if there's a way to just like shorten that sort of gap between like thinking, like imagining something, and then pressing play and hearing it back and being able to send that to people,
Yeah.
I find that really more interesting than the entertainment aspect of music.
Yeah, that's fucking amazing, dude. Like I never even like that never even crossed my mind to even think about like that's another level of helping people. Like you're just like so like this isn't about me. Like this is about getting as much creators and artists as we can in the world at one time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Just there's a saying like a rising tide lifts all boats.
Yo, yeah.
Like to me, it's
bars all day.
to me, there's only there's only growth in making things better and easier for everybody. And I won't lie. These are things that I can be able to package and sell.
Yeah, no,
so
and of course, if you can monetize it and you can be the idea guy or whatever, like you still you deserve that's work that you're putting in,
right.
Yeah, of course. So
there's innovators from the past that I greatly respect, like Leo Fender or Les Paul. We have them to thank for like multi-track recording and for the guitars and basses. And I just think that a lot of the innovation that's left to do is going to be digital. It's going to be with this software, the music software, right? Not like necessarily AI stuff. I think it's just going to be making it easier to plug in your cables and be able to capture what you're performing.
Yeah,
that's the golden mean.
That's really dope, dude. So like how far along are you in this goal? Like
pretty far. I'm making at this point I have it where it's pitchable. I can do virtual sessions with OBS. And I can also I'm developing a website, like I'll make like a Shopify, I guess, to be able to sell like these sort of these like packs of templates and whatnot for all the major DAWs.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
dude.
Yeah, that's like those are the next sort of big steps for me to take. Aside from just continuing to ask other people what will help them out the most.
Yeah. That's really awesome, dude. Like the idea of surveying and shit. I'm down to do a survey and send it to any musician I know to. To help you get your information, dude. Let me know, and then if you want to help provide Troy with the information he needs, if you're down with taking a survey, like hit him up. It's gonna be linked everywhere, like YouTube version down below.
Yeah, it's like just stuff like if you find yourself like doing kind of coming across the same hurdle when you're trying to work on the song, or like if you're loading up the same plugins all the time. Like, you can have a template that just loads it all for you.
Yeah.
Like just those kind of streamline, essentially like assistant
Yeah.
engineer stuff. Because I'm not necessarily interested in like trying to have everybody send me their unreleased material and like trusting me to just like make it exactly how they want. And
Yeah.
like I'm or for me, I'm not interested in just trying to like correct, or like I'm not sure how everybody like views producers, but I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of times when you think about hiring a producer, it entails some sort of like change, or
Mm-hmm.
like them reworking your ideas.
Mm-hmm.
um
Producers, like, especially in terms of music production, like it's one of those terms that has changed kind of meaning, like really since like sampling and beat making kind of came, because like there's like a difference between a beat maker and a producer, but some people will say they're the same. Like like a beat
right,
maker is a producer. Like producer typically has a hand in the finished product of whatever that song becomes. You know what I'm saying? If you're making
right,
beats and then you sell it to someone, and then that person makes a song on your beat, you didn't produce it. You just wrote the music to it. You know what I'm saying?
right,
Um, really, like I kind of see producing as having a hand in the final product of what the beginning became. You know what I mean? Because every song has a
right,
beginning, and sometimes it doesn't make it to the end. We've all got songs just sitting on our unfinished songs, just sitting on our fucking hard drives, like collecting
right,
virtual dust. You know what I mean? So when those songs become a finished thing, everybody has a hand in that, whether it did, they played an instrument or sang or whatever or not. That they produced it. You know what I
right.
mean? So that's kind of how I define it.
Yeah, and I think that of course, there's a time and place for that. I think that outsourcing, the best music has always come from teams, typically.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm interested in serving this sort of assistant role and like helping other people, um, just kind of figure out how to do it their own way as fast as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily, or I kind of view it as like creating some sort of standard, like
Mm-hmm.
where we can, you know, like I did, like I asked like in a Facebook group like about like shorthanding like guitar tracks like in your DAW,
Yeah.
and like everybody was essentially agreeing to like shorthand guitar as like a capital GTR.
Uh
And
huh.
so you like you have like 40 people all saying like we should do that. So it's like, okay, that's kind of the standard to me of like that's how
Yeah.
to label guitar tracks.
Yeah.
So like I'm very much interested in just kind of like defining these things and just kind of like
That's so cool.
kind of teaching people.
Yeah, and then people will go to their friends' houses and they'll load up their DOM. Like, oh, you got that Troy Clemens template. That's okay. I see what you got a guitar track already right here. Like because I have my own template too. I got the b-nign template, and it is available to download as well. But it's
Nice.
only for FL Studio, right?
Right.
And there's one I made that has just stock plugins on it, where it's
Nice.
like on the vocals and what it just
So
is
that's badass.
yeah, it's like a drums. They all go to one bus, and then there's a side chain where you can add parallel compression or whatever if you want to. There's reverb channel, delay channels, and whatever.
Yeah.
There's a recording channel. And it's like everything that I eventually kept building onto until I saved it. I even color coded it and everything. And one thing that, like you said, the guitar thing, one thing that always stuck with me, and if you followed me long enough to see my production streams, which I stopped doing, you'll know that my snares are always called snr, which is SNRR, which originally kind of started as a typo and I was just typing fast, but I just thought it looked funny, like SNRR. I don't know what the second R just makes it funny for some reason. So yeah, that's what I always name my snares. That's what it's always been like. It's just snr. I just find that funny. Another producer I work with, Tori. Shout out to Tori. Tori Barnes. She's incredible. She helped produce Weekend, my song Weekend, right when the pandemic hit. So also shout out to the pandemic. Yeah, but she had a hand in that song, and she told me about when she was recording a band, their bass player's name. God, I thought I'd never forget it, and I think I actually forgot it. It's something like Freckles or something. Like the bass player's name
Oh
was
yeah.
like Freckles. So she knew that all the bass tracks were named Freckles. So that's how she knew with the bass. Everything else was like vocal, guitar, drums or like kick drums, snare, freckles. You know, it's just like it would just pop out. Okay, I know that's the bass. Yeah, it's hilarious. But yeah, that's really dope. Got no snare in my headphones. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? He already feels me. Dude, that's dope, man. Okay, well, is there anything you want to plug or talk about, like before I send you off and we into Guitar Land, we can jam?
Honestly, yeah, I think I'd say just following my Instagram, Troy Clemens Audio.
It's right there above his head. You see it right there.
That's gonna give you the most sort of information of what I've got going on. Not much of like a poster, but I keep the stories happening, and a lot of my stuff's just in development. I'm more of a show and tell kind of person, you know. So, you know, one day I'm just gonna kind of drop stuff on people, and we'll see what kind of waves happen.
Hell yeah, dude! So Troy Clemens Audio, follow him right there. Instagram, everything else. Of course, I'll link all the stuff also in the description on the YouTube version when this goes up. Yeah, thank you so much, Troy. For the first time ever on this podcast interview thing, we're gonna do a jam session. I want to do that. Like, we've literally never played together. I'm gonna do some rhythm acoustic playing, and I'm gonna hook up my guitar. The amp's already hooked up. I just gotta slide that pedal board over here and let my boy fuck with it a little bit. So y'all down for that? That's where I'm gonna take a break, and we're gonna come back and have a little jam sesh. But first, you gotta tag the table, man.
Tag the table.
Tag the table. Tag the table, man. Anywhere. There's only a couple of signatures over here. I flipped it so that I could spread them out a little bit more.
I gotcha.
So yeah, thank you, Bowser. Thank you. Yeah. Big bet. So yeah, we're gonna take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll be hooked up with some guitars. Let's go. Yo, Limbo, what's going on, man? Are we here? Yeah, we're here. So yeah, for the first time, we're doing something for the first time ever. Me and Troy literally have never played guitar together. We talked about that, about to end the stream, but I thought we'd do a little jam sesh first. So yeah, let's just play random shit.
Sure thing.
Good shit. One of those things we literally could go until you start spamming us with emotes and whatnot.
For sure.
But dude, yes, that was a fantastic jam sesh. First ever jam sesh happened live right now with Troy Clemens, man. I've been wanting to do that forever. I'm glad. Thank you, Desi. Like she's racing back. Payne is gonna race back to chill with Desi. I swear it's gonna happen. Thank you, Bowser. Thank you guys for being here on Moniker for chilling. Yeah, you guys are the best. It's been a pleasure having Troy. I'm definitely gonna have him again in the future at some point, especially when you start dropping your own music.
Thanks, man, for sure.
You gonna recover those old tracks too?
Oh man, yeah, I gotta go through the works, man. And bring it all up to speed.
Yeah, I most definitely do. I'm excited to hear all that. Yeah, I'll definitely be linking and keeping you all up to date with what's going on. Next 2 weeks from now, I'm gonna start doing these bi-weekly. I was doing them weekly for a while. A lot of editing to do, so I had to slow it down. But I'm having Songs for Lila on, which you worked with as well, right?
Yeah.
With Will.
That's right.
You were working with Will, so yeah, it's gonna be a fun little connection because I get to tell Will and Liz, and I think they have a third member now, which is pretty exciting. Yeah. We're gonna sit and chat. They're from Galveston. They're a great band, great singers, great chemistry. I can't say enough good things about Will and Liz and Songs for Lila. So yeah, I'm excited to have them on. Have them on in a couple weeks.
That's awesome.
Yeah, this has been Troy and b-nign and this Twitch channel, b-nign Music. Hey, I never know how to end these things. Thanks for hanging out. Peace,
everybody.